Hey guys, this video is going to cover Adam Smith and Industrial Capitalism. So this is the pre-work for Thursday, January 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, I believe. Hold on, let me check real fast. 23rd, Thursday, January 23rd. So that's what this lesson is over. So like we talked about in class today, there's this guy Adam Smith, and he's generally considered to be the father of modern capitalism, kind of like Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels are generally considered to be the fathers of modern, or at least of theoretical, communism. So we're going to talk about Adam Smith and capitalism, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So we have some ideas here that we're going to look at, and then after we've discussed them, there are some questions for you to answer to get ready for tomorrow's lesson. So first of all, we know that the purpose of capitalism for the business owners is for them to, maximize their profits, as it says on this slide, which basically means they want to get rich. So in order to do this, they had to lower their costs, meaning they had to make it cheaper to make stuff. And one of the ways that they did that, or two of the ways that they did that, was by division of labor and the mechanization of industry. We also know that they tended to pay pretty low wages. Even though those wages were better than what people were making before, they were still pretty low. And as a result, there are all kinds of social problems in the cities, like living in tenements, people not having money for good food or for health care, etc. And that was actually one of the biggest complaints that communists, or the biggest complaint that communists have with capitalism, is that, it leads to this unequal wealth distribution where the lower class proletariat is really, really poor and the upper class bourgeoisie gets richer and richer and gets all of this money at the expense of the workers. Okay, so that's communism's critique of capitalism. But going back to capitalism, we know the big idea here is that capitalism is all about competition. It's about getting rich, right? Okay. So here's a fun little cartoon that you can look at that talks about capitalism. I threw it in for fun. Hope you like it. Moving on. Okay, so let's talk about those two ideas we mentioned before, the division of labor, right? So that's where a person who owns a factory or a business will break the work up into these small tasks, right? And then, each worker only has one thing to do. So that could be like taking part A and attaching it to part B. Right? And the good part about this for the business owner is that if a worker only has one job, one small task like that to do, that worker gets really, really, really good at it, which means that worker can do it really quickly. And so if the entire production process is broken up into these really small tasks that people can do really, really fast, then that means that they can make lots of products really quickly, which means that each individual product is cheaper to make. Right, which means that the factory owner can make more money because it costs less to make the product. So here's an example of an assembly line. So notice we have all of these people on this line, and each person's going to do one particular thing to the thing that they're working on. It looks like wheels. And then they'll move it along down the line to the next person. So they can make lots of them really quickly. All right, and also we talked about the mechanization of labor. We've already discussed this in previous lessons, so we know that there are a lot of new machines that were created during the Industrial Revolution, and so business owners used these machines instead of human workers because it was more efficient, right? So this cotton gin here can take the seeds out of the cotton much faster than a person can, also much cheaper. Okay. So that being said, so we know we want to lower costs, make lots of money. So we have this guy, Adam Smith, and so he was the first person to really sit down and write about capitalism in his famous book, The Wealth of Nations. So you can see a picture of Adam Smith here, and then you can see the front cover of his book. It's actually called An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations, but most people just call it The Wealth of Nations. So he's really famous in his book for talking about this idea of the invisible hand. He says that government should not interfere with the market, and when we say the market, we basically mean the economy, right? Like all of the buying and selling that takes place. So the invisible hand will ensure that the capitalist system works. So you can see a picture down here at the bottom of this cat standing on this invisible hand looking down on these factories, right? So the invisible hand is a metaphor, and it just means that there is some kind of unseen force that drives capitalism. And according to Adam Smith, that unseen force is self-interest. So self-interest means, hey, I want what's best for myself, right? I'm interested in me. In other words, if I'm a capitalist, I want to get rich for myself, right? I'm not necessarily worried about my workers or about other people. I'm really just interested in myself. And now I know that sounds really awful, right? But Adam Smith's idea was that it actually works out best for everyone because, as you can see in purple, the idea is that the capitalists will create the best products because that's what people want to buy, right? And so if this person doesn't make the best product, then that guy down the street will make a better product, and everybody will go buy his product and not my product. So that means that we have this competition to make increasingly better and better and better products, which works out well for everyone, because that means we have lots of good products to choose from. As the products become cheaper to make, yes, capitalists make a lot of money, but some of that price decrease also is passed on to us, right? Like as it gets cheaper and cheaper to make computers, the price of computers goes further down, right? Like a computer as good as the one that I'm working on right now, would have cost $5,000 maybe 10 years ago. And today, I don't know exactly how much YesPrep paid for this computer, but I would guess it's probably $300 or $400. Right? So computers, that's an example of how competition lowers prices. I'm sure that Dell, which is the company that made this thing, is still making a lot of money off their computers, but some of the price decrease gets passed along to us. So, self-interest, the invisible hand. When capitalists work for their own best interests, they compete with other people because they want to get rich themselves, and that competition is good for all of us. So here are the questions that you need to answer. There are only 3 of them. You need to make sure you have these questions answered by tomorrow, and you're going to turn this homework in class, so please get it done. You can look at it here on this video. If you go to the website, below this video, the entire PowerPoint is also embedded into the website, so you can feel free to go through this PowerPoint again, or you can, of course, scroll back and forth in the video until you find the parts that you want. Thanks for your attention. Have a great night, and I will see everyone tomorrow.